Hi, we are living in the end of suffering cycle. Yay, isn't that great, right? Because we have been living in suffering for a very long time. So today we're going to look at the difference between pain and suffering type of pain, and how do we arrive at love and joy instead. "26,000 years of suffering perception is a long time. And right now, as the planetary grids are adjusting, we are bringing in more of the frequency of joy through the opening stargates. That allows the perception of pain to change. Now, we think pain shouldn't exist, right? Everything should be just one, lovely and friendly and happy, and that's what spirituality is all about, right? Why do we have to talk about pain? Well, because pain is not really pain. Pain is what we think it is based on our emotional filter on a particular event. And the event that occurs inside our energy field that we human beings label pain is friction. Friction between two somethings. One something that is harmonious and another something that is disharmonious. When that occurs, we experience pain. From the human perspective, there's also attachment involved. It's not quite so much about harmonious or disharmonious. It also becomes about what we like and we don't like. If what we like is happening and then what we don't like is either occurring or we're afraid it might happen, we might experience pain because there will be friction between those two experiences within our own system. So everything is a perception. Nothing is actually reality the way we think it is. It's just a different filter, different lens that we look at the reality through, and it allows us to see something one way or the other. So in the big sense, everything is one. There's only one God source. There are no evil entities or evil humans. Everything is one. But there are evil entities and evil humans because there's also duality. See, it's a perception. So if we think about it from the standpoint that on the top we have this oneness, then the oneness goes down and differentiates. And as it differentiates, it creates a little bit more and a little bit more and a little bit more of a bias one way or the other. Some of it is not a difficult bias, not something that is actually judgment with attachment of a value, but just preference. But then as the energy goes further and further and further down into lower dimensions, this preference turns into attachment. And attachment then will produce pain every time that we don't get whatever it is we're attached to. Now, we're not talking about body pain. That's like a whole other system, because now, that would involve the avatar that we're inside of, the matter vehicle inside this game, the simulation on the planet Earth. So far we're talking about consciousness and a perception within the energy field that we label pain. So suffering is not really something that is meant to exist. Pain, on the other hand, is kind of a normal component of change. Anytime we enter into something new, there's going to be some friction. Anytime we don't get what we want, if we are in duality, there's going to be some friction. But if we're not attached to it, then all it is just friction. Not a problem. Maybe a little bit uncomfortable, but no big deal. If we are attached to it, and to the degree that we are attached to it, the friction becomes pain. And if we are not conscious that we have created that experience for our own learning, then the pain becomes suffering, the next stage of density. So you have friction first, then depending on attachment level, you have pain, and then depending on the karma of unlearned lessons that are weighting it down, you get suffering. So humankind has been stuck in this recycling reincarnation cycle for a really long time. 26,000 years, and especially the last 12. It has been pretty hard here. And starseeds, which are not from usually the cycle of suffering, when we come in here, it's traumatizing. It's just really hard because of the density itself and because of the range of stuckness of consciousness. So a lot of times we then begin to mimic this stuckness because we just get so overwhelmed with all the experiences that are painful because we have attachment to oneness, attachment to joy and beauty and flow, and now we're in a density where that does exist, but there's also a lot of painful things, a lot of difficult things, a lot of cruel, and separation runs the show because this is all an illusion. So we come into the separation, we start to experience the separation, we don't like what we're experiencing, and we end up with pain about it. And if we're really attached to oneness and we start judging this experience as somehow wrong, that it should not exist, that this is not something that's supposed to happen, that this is all a mistake somehow, then we end up with suffering. This is not a mistake, it's a choice. What has been occurring on this planet, it's a collective choice. Not a very good one, mind you, because ideally human beings could have chosen something a little bit more harmonious. Instead, they chose to give their power away. And right now, they're slowly recovering from that idea. And we are here to help that. So our job is to take our power back, first of all, because how can you teach somebody else to do it if you haven't done it yourself, right? So self-mastery always comes first. Once you are able to hold your power no matter what, you then can help this planet and humankind, the Earthling soul group, to change and to move out of suffering. So self-mastery means taking responsibility for your perception, for your attachments. That means that whatever it is that you're noticing you're suffering about or have pain about, it's your job to stop and look at it and ask yourself, what am I attached to? How am I not looking at this as a neutral observer? Now, you can believe that this could be better, and most of the time we are correct because we do have our multidimensional sort of perspective still somewhat open compared to Earthlings. So because of it, yeah, we usually do know much more sort of harmonious, lovely, beautiful ways of how something could be instead of how it is. But it is this way because the souls participating in it are not ready. And they still going through the stage of awakening into the time and place where they can hold those energies. And we are here to help them do so. But we must do so inside first. Which means it's not wrong, it's just a choice. It may be not the choice you prefer, but you are here for a purpose, for a reason. You came here as a starseed to the planet Earth, knowing that this is the choice that humankind has made, knowing that this is what this simulation is. So we must take responsibility for the fact that we choose to go into a war zone. We chose this. We are the agents, undercover. We are the agents of higher consciousness that came here to do the job. And it's like an agent that's in a war zone that's complaining, oh damn, I don't want to be in a war zone, I wish I was home. Well, why did you get the job? Nobody forced you. So we are here on our own accord because we chose to serve, we chose to help. And we got sort of confused and hurt and asleep and ended up in suffering, joining the ones we came to help. So we must wake up. We must get out of that perception because that perception is the illusion. That's what we came here to change. That means self-responsibility first. Be conscious that it's your perception, your filter, that's making something look one way or the other. So then you can transmute your personal suffering into just pain, and then pain into simply friction. And being able to be in friction is uncomfortable, but not necessarily agonizing. So this is how we arrive at the next level of perception for ourselves. And in doing so, we also help human beings to get out of their perception of suffering. Suffering is repeating pain. So when you are in the space of, I don't like this experience, I don't want it to be happening, you are resisting the current experience. You are pushing against it. Does that mean the experience will stop? No, of course not. It will keep happening. The reason it keeps happening is because that's a universal law that we create what we need in order to move on in consciousness. If you're saying, I want to be awake, then your soul is going to keep bringing to you the experiences that help you wake up. That's how it works. So if something is occurring in your life, it's because you put it there. If you don't like it, it's your job to figure out what is the lesson inside that experience. Why is this happening? Get the lesson and it will stop happening. But when we resist it instead and we say, I don't want it to happen, it's in my way, I rather have joy and love and whatever else and not whatever this difficult thing is, then unfortunately we're actually creating more pain. And that's what suffering is. It's a repetitive pain. Now, on to the fun part, the joy and love, right? Joy is a vibratory resonance that exists in the universe. It is not something that we necessarily create. It's something that has been created by the God Source originally. It is an aliveness energy that interpenetrates everything. It is here, right here, wherever you are. It's everywhere, right now. The only difference is, are you tuned in to this broadcast or not? So joy exists all the time. It's just there all the time. And if we resonate with that energy, then we will experience that joy within our own systems. And it feels like you're sort of uplifted and everything is okay and you're in the right place in the right time. That does not mean there is no pain. You can still be uncomfortable about something. You can still be frustrated over something. Difficulties still exist, but joy kind of goes parallel to them. That's what we really want. We want this parallel experience of joy to our perception within the simulation of the planet Earth as we're trying to figure ourselves out in here. The more we're able to experience joy while being here, the more we transmute the suffering into a much more harmonious state of love. And universe is love. Everything is love. Not love us to one thing to another thing, because there are no separation in the oneness. But oneness itself is love, because love energy is sort of the matrix or the stuff from which everything is made. So joy is the pathway into that oneness, into love. And if you want to feel joy, you need to stop whatever it is that you're attached to, unattach. Go into your vertical tube, into your vertical flow, and feel deeply your preciousness, your uniqueness. Go ahead. You are a starseed on the planet Earth. And yes, it's hard, but you are a unique, precious being. You are here on a mission, but you're also always tethered to the God Source. You are loved and supported all of the time. It's just a matter of allowing it. Then this resonance of joy begins to interpenetrate your system. It feels like bubbly champagne everywhere, just alive energy moving about. That is something that we all have access to naturally. So I hope you have more joy experiences and less pain experiences. If you're watching this video on anything other than my Transcension Gate website, please visit and click that blue button to sign up on my list if you haven't yet. Be love, be free, be God, and have a lot of joy all of the time.